the thing that I feel like is the shifting point. So many people talk about like their Phoenix moments, and often it's when suddenly they realize that they have things to share, that like those moments that it's just like, oh crap, I have something to offer too, and it changes everything. It's like life-changing stuff.
Yo, I'm Bryce the Third.
And I'm Liz McKean.
And you are now tuned in to the Rise, Recover, Live podcast. Here we dive into all the recovery stories from around the world.
And we talk about all pathways because there's no one right way to recover.
If you've been with us for a while, you know how powerful stories are. So get ready for your community to get just a little bigger today.
We are so glad that you're here. Let's get into the show.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Liz? How's your energy today?
Hey, my energy is not awesome today. I'm having a nope day in the energy department. Yeah.
A nope day in the energy department.
Day. Yeah. Just got a lot of stuff going on. That is on my mind, but
yeah. We talked a bit about it before the show, what you've experienced and what you are experiencing, and we don't have to get too deep into the details, but know that it's okay to have a nope day.
Yeah.
Know that it's okay to have a nope day.
I don't think I would have called it that either, except for in our take one before this, which was take two. You were like, Liz, nope. And I was like, yes, that is correct. That is accurate, actually. So take two, but yes, that.
Yeah. And it's good to have like people come, like, you know, in the way that before we press record, like to channel my inner Liz, I'm like, yo, we don't have to record today, because I know that you would be that for me, and like to know that you have friends that will show up in that way to like push you, because we know Liz never wants to do solo episodes, but also like you, like hold you and hold space for you. Yeah, like, that's a phenomenal thing to have, man.
It is, yeah. I'm lucky to have you for sure, and people in my life with all sorts of support. Yeah.
Speaking of support, I don't have anything to do with that. I was going to say, speaking of support, and then like segue into something else, but I didn't have anything to segue into.
That was another version. Wait, have you said this on this podcast, or has it been in conversations we have where you're like, when I say, okay, it's like that's like not anything there, but it's going to come. And when it drops,
you talk about what I'd be like, and
that's the one.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just got to make it up as you go, for real.
All right. Well, I mean, we are always just making it up as we go, for real. Like, let's be honest.
I mean, I think that's a big attribute of my recovery, is the ability to improvise. There was a time where like there was so many things that could just stop me in my tracks and not allow me to show up for life on life's terms. I would have to stop. I had to pause. And stopping and pausing is definitely necessary. Stopping and pausing is important. What I mean is, I would stop in a way that I flailed my arms and hit people in their mouths because I just couldn't do it, And then when I got it together, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's keep moving forward. And everybody, bro, you just socked me in my mouth. Like, we're not moving forward.
That was a violent stop. That was a violent pause, my friend.
You're not moving forward anymore, sir.
No.
Yeah, so like improvisation, the ability to take what comes and turn it into exactly what it's supposed to be, and not interrupt the flow and keep it moving, I think is one of the things that my recovery has allowed for me. And the way I've been able to do it is by throwing myself in the fire for real, to see like what opportunities exist to exercise those muscles.
It's funny that I feel like I don't even have to throw myself into any fire to have opportunities to exercise those muscles. But you know what? I was thinking this, and I'm going to lose it if I don't say it out loud. That the whole concept of like, we're all just making it up as we go. That is huge for me in recovery, for just ever trying to get sober, stay sober, and then like actually like build a life on the foundation of that recovery and sobriety. Was the thing that was holding me back was, like shame, and just being so sure that I was just so unforgivable, for the years that were bad, and for the things that were hard. And then even when I found recovery, like the things that continued to be hard and like the imperfections that were just like impossible to not have as a human. Um, and it was, I remember, you know, it was probably 8,000th time somebody said this to me, but I remember that there was one time that it actually like hit home when somebody was like, you're only human, or we're
Mm.
only human. And I had never, ever just that never resonated with me at all. Anytime anybody would ever say that about any themselves, me, anybody, it was just like, it doesn't, what does that even mean? Like in my mind, my job as a human was to, at least on the outside, appear like everything was always fine and I had it all together, you know. And then when I failed at that, it was like, just there's no coming back from it. And so
Mm.
when I started to like accept, like, oh, we're only human, and oh, none of you know what the heck you're doing, like, no, we're all just figuring it out as we go, that was a very freeing moment and a big foundational thing for recovery for me.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's an intricate balance. Uh, it's actually like they both of those notions inform each other. At least for me,
Mm.
I was out. We was filming content on Saturday, and me and my brother Deontay was out, and we was on the rooftop. The Z lot. It's like this. It was just a beautiful day, man. Like I got this single coming out tomorrow, and so we were shooting like little clips for this song, and we on this rooftop, and there's this group of guys, and they got a camera, they shooting. Then it's like three people over there, and the dude in the suit, and they shooting. And it's like somebody over there and they shooting. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. There's so many like creatives out here taking initiative and like storytelling and using the tools and being creative and like leaning into the culture because we up here. I mean, it's a beautiful rooftop. You can see the GM building, all that type of stuff. And I was talking to my bro. I probably shouldn't have said his name, but he won't mind. He was talking about like how he had anxiety coming downtown sometimes, and how uh, uh, it can feel a way. Like he used to be super creative in a way where I just whip my camera out and just go out and just be shooting. But these days, like I just have a lot of anxiety around that process. And what I share with him is that I had learned the less the less I judged other people, the less I judged other people's creations, the less I created an environment where like I'm super critical, the more I lived in a world where critique didn't matter and
Mm.
nobody cared as much about what it was that I was doing, and I could just do my thing wherever I'm at, and like it's okay. And the people that are on the tip of like being critical or criticizing, like they don't matter as much. Two, like I just don't focus on them because I am not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to focus on what it is that we are. So if I can create the environment for myself and for others, then ultimately like I benefit. So now I'm out here, and like, there was a instance where we were in the elevator. He was trying to get the shot where when the elevator goes down, like I do one take while the elevator goes down. And then we missed it once, and then we came back up, and then the guy came in, and it was like, bro, I'm done with this. Like, we just got to do it. So we did it, and it just so happened the most people came in the elevator that could ever come in the elevator. But the whole time, like I'm like, keep it rolling, and they're like, do we come in? I'm like, come in, come in, come in, and I'm still rapping, and people are feeling it. It just made for good content, and we
That's
all had a good
cool.
time. And they'll probably go home and like, yeah, I was getting the elevator today, and the guy was rapping, and it was really weird, but it was cool, and so.
Yeah.
I I think the easier I am on myself and the easier I am on others, the more of an environment I create for like that ease to perpetuate, if that makes sense.
I mean, I feel like that's the essence of like the phoenix, you know, when I think about how we've talked about um self actualization being kind of part of like the recovery journey within the phoenix, because you know you show up in like 100 different ways when it comes to this community. And you know, the thing that I feel like is the shifting point, so many people talk about like their phoenix moments, and often it's when suddenly they realize that they have things to share, that like, yeah, you know, I've been coming to this, you know, whatever, it's a CrossFit class or a music festival kind of situation over and over again, and finally felt like I was part of something, finally felt like not alone, part of community. And then all of a sudden it's like, and then somebody invited me to share my thing, like to do some kind of class that I was coaching or teaching or leading or going for a walk or just somebody came in and they were new and I welcomed them and they looked at me like I might know something, and it's just like those moments that it's just like, oh crap, I have something to offer too, and it changes everything. It's like life changing stuff. So like every time you do that for yourself, it is always going to trickle down and change other people too. um and it's cool to see that happen and to be part of those moments.
Mm. Speaking of people contributing, this time I actually am leading into something.
Beautiful segue.
Now, we've asked you to hop into the Phoenix app, hop into the podcast group, the Rise, Recover, Live podcast space on the Phoenix app, interact with us, give us feedback, ask us questions. And today we actually have quite a few questions from the community that we want to get answered. So shout out to everybody who submitted a question in the space in the Phoenix app. And if you're not in the Rise, Recover, Live podcast space within the Phoenix app, what are you doing, man? Like
we miss you.
Is this is time to have an intervention? Like, take a seat and tell me, why are you not there? Why are you not there with us? We really want you to be there. Me and Liz are sitting there waiting, and the 4,000 other people who are listeners to this podcast who want to meet you, learn about you, hear about what it is that you're interested in, and get to know you. They're there. They're waiting. It's like all of us just with our hands outreached, waiting for you. I know it sounds a little creepy. But
I was just gonna say I got a little bit of a creepy vibe, but that's cool.
Do it.
October, but creepy is fine.
For those who are in there and those who specifically asked us a question, we're going to go ahead and get those answered today. Let's start with something easy. How was summer vacay and what is the best adventure you got into, Liz? This is from Bella Selco.
Oh, we love Bella. Spreading all sorts of joy on the app. So by summer vacay, are we referring to, I'm assuming, our summer of not recording? Because we did take the summer off from new episode recording, right? Was that our vacay?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Okay. I know. For a long time, everybody was seeing us with sunglasses if they watched us on YouTube talking about we out for the summer. So we'll catch you in a bit. So I'm sure that insinuated that we was going to do something cool. So what cool things did you do?
Man, I feel like I blinked and the summer was over. Well, I started school, which was very cool because school is cool. I feel like I need to wear sunglasses to say that.
The sunglasses is gonna make it less cool. I like it. I like cool.
It. Didn't the rhyming already do that? Yeah, I think that's the most exciting thing that I did. And it was my first summer here in Rochester in upstate New York.
That was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It is beautiful. And I got to, I don't know, do things like say, hey, Mom, you want to go for a walk today? Because we live within, 20 minutes of each other. And she'd be like, okay. And most of the walk would be like, I live here now. And she'd be like, you live here now. So that was really cool because that is just going to feel exciting for a long time. Yeah, I think those are my things.
Nice.
How about you?
Yeah, the whole time you were saying your things, I'm thinking about my things because for some reason everything feels like 2 weeks ago to me, and
I know.
I don't even know
October.
It's crazy. It's wild. It's wild.
Who was in charge of this time?
I think there were multiple times that I was able to stop and pause, and I there were quite a few summer nights that I'm like, man, I pray for nights like this.
Oh God, I feel that right in my chest.
And take away the context, because the context comes and goes. Maybe we were riding bikes, maybe I was in Michigan, maybe I wasn't in Michigan, maybe I was somewhere else in the country. The context does matter, but in the instance right now of reflecting upon it, I don't think the context matters as much as the content, which was there was multiple times throughout the summer where like I stopped, I paused, and I embraced like the experience that I was having, and the intentionality behind like that like what does it smell like? What is it? I can feel the warm summer air on my skin right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really appreciated the ability to be able to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like something crazy I did. Like I probably skydived off off of Mount Olympus or something like that, and I just
And what, you
forgot.
forgot?
So when I remember, I'll tell you. But
I mean, I think that's significant though, that like we both kind of think of, those smaller moments. Well, the school thing is bigger, I guess, and it's cool. By the way, school is cool. If I didn't mention that.
school is
Huh.
definitely cool. Don't
Um,
not go to school because then you're a fool.
oh, we could keep going with this. Let's not.
It was the summertime. You had to hop in the pool.
No, and he's off. Um, but like those little moments, I think that's my favorite part of just life in general, and certainly when we talk about recovery, uh, yeah, it's those moments that you're able to pause and be like, holy crap, like I got here, and I think you can have those moments even, it doesn't matter what point of recovery you could be at, you could be at like, a few hours in and be like, holy shit, I'm doing it. You could be like decades in and be like, holy shit, I'm doing it. It's just, it's gratitude, I guess is probably the best word, even though it feels like a even more all encompassing feeling than that. And I wish that for everybody listening.
Yeah, I'm sensing some new podcast merch. Holy shit, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I like it. I would wear that on a hat.
Most definitely. All
Okay.
right, the phenomenal, electric Michelle Hansen
Oh,
asks, what steps have you taken to get through the most challenging experiences of your life? And or what have the most challenging experiences of your life taught you? So we just dive it right into the deep end.
I mean, how much time we have for this episode? Michelle with the casual questions.
So much for your mini episode, Liz.
uh, that's right. All right. Well, I started last time, so you start this time.
What steps have you taken to get through the most challenging experiences of your life?
I love that you didn't just ask for like how did you get through it? It was like, give me the steps. Like
Step one.
step one.
I died inside.
Oh, that's how it all starts. Yep.
I mean, I say it in jest, but there's actually a bit of truth in that. Like I allowed for the restructuring of my ideas and my belief sets and what I thought could happen. I think like the most challenging times in recovery and in my life, which actually go hand in hand. Like I've had some of the most challenging times in my life in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't stop. Things still get stole. Things still break. People still leave. People still pass away.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is I can show up for it now. My uncle just passed. My uncle Tony, and man, I think about like even that whole experience. Like I just got back from Alabama, or we went down there. My cousin Tony put together this. It was a dope homegoing or whatever you call it, and it was really cool. It was short. Played a lot of music. One of them a song that I wrote for my just to process my grief. But it was like his sister, my aunt Jackie. She passed away, and we were really close, and I was still in my active addiction. And when she passed away, I just like I did a lot of other stuff. I said a lot of things. I don't know how to put this into words, but like I didn't grieve.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't until I got sober that like I was able to go back and like retroactively grieve. So it was cool like with my aunt how I could do it in the moment, and I had the tools. I had the ability to write a song. I had the ability to like sink into the feeling of like blue, purple. I don't know. I was gonna say melancholy, but I don't think melancholy is the word.
Mm-hmm.
But like just like the deep, when I was told like cried for about like an hour and a half, and I'm still like processing it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can do it, I can do it presently, and I feel like I'm a part of it. And then when I got down there, went to the service, and after he played my song, he was like, you want to say something? I'm like, sure. You could, I mean, because you know me, like, it wasn't nothing planned, but I went up there and spoke my piece and was able to do so. Beforehand, you would have to like tell me 2 weeks in advance, like, all right, I'm gonna need you to say something, and I'm gonna have to like write down a piece of paper and rehearse it for 4 years. But I'm just kind of always ready now. Once again, I think that's one of the biggest gifts that my recovery has given me is the ability to improvise, and where that ability was cultivated is through the fire of the most challenging times that I've experienced in my life,
Mm-hmm.
because I can be a wall or I could be water.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's a bit of both. You got to kind of guide the water. Um, but when I'm challenged, and then I'm gonna cut it. But when I'm challenged, most often it's because I thought a thing was a thing, but that thing isn't a thing as I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was, and that can hurt. Uh, that can cause grief. That can cause confusion. And if I stick my flag in the sand, no, it is the way, even though life is showing me like it's not that way, then that's what leads to like suffering for
Mm-hmm.
me. And so recovery allows for me to like take, like, life is saying, okay, this person is no longer on earth, or okay, this relationship's no longer like what you thought it was and it's evolving into something else, or this thing that you really wanted, it's not happening right now. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of sticking my flag and saying, yes, it is happening right now, and life saying, no, it's not, because life is always going to be more powerful, because life is life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can allow for like the process of, okay, so it's not happening right now, and it sucks, and I don't want to cry, and I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna scream, and I'm gonna write about it, and I'm gonna reach out to my community. I'm gonna tell them like why I wanted it and that it didn't happen, and I'm gonna allow for the conversation to take place, and I'm gonna flow with it, and in that, it allows for me to show up in a way that previously, like, I wouldn't be able to, and I would actually hurt people in the process of that. Because when you stick the flag in the sand, like, once again, just like flailing my arms, like my flag was popping people in the mouth. Boop, 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 boop. Nope. Life is this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I hope that answers the question maybe a little bit. Ultimately, like, I don't know, because I'm sure more challenges are coming. And I don't know has allowed for me to like show up too, because it's like that allows for me to dig into what it is that I don't know, to allow for what it is that hasn't happened to allow. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think yeah, we don't know. We can't know. But I think I've seen you work through a lot of I don't knows. And I mean, I think I can't imagine. I'm sure somewhere out there has written a book with step by step of how to get through hard things. But I think just believing that you can get through it, and allowing that flow, and noticing when you're not allowing things to flow, and saying when you're struggling, and reaching out, and having a support system that you've built, like on purpose for these very moments, is stuff that I've just seen you do that, and it's inspiring every single time.
Mm.
Um, I don't have a great answer to this question, because I'm realizing I've always known that I don't do well with hard things. Like, I think this is a real challenge for me, because um, over the past, however many years of recovery, which spans much wider than even years of sobriety from alcohol, um, I think the thing that I have built piece by piece is like like kind of a steady center, like a just a element of safety that just kind of surrounds like my day-to-day life, and things that I know, steps that I can take that make me feel good, that allow me to show up as my best self, that provide a little bit of a gentle landing for the moments that I do fall down. That's the people that I surround myself by, like creating relationships that are meaningful, that I show up for in the good times, so that I know I can count on them in the tough times. And I I routines like movement and drinking enough water to be hydrated, like all just the things to like have this just steady center is the best way that I can describe it, because when things go awry, when something unexpected happens, um, I rely really heavily on that kind of, that we've talked about this before, like, but like that touch tree, like knowing that there is like a center I can reach for. I do have a support system. um I know there's a routine I can get back to when I can get back to it. There's just, I've just built up evidence that I myself am somebody that I can depend on, and that's great. But I'm noticing that I still have big reactions to things,
Mm.
and I I'm a very all or kind of nothing person. I live in extremes. So as much as I'm trying to create this steady center of just like my day to day life, uh, when something big happens, like I still want to either absolutely just, freak out and do nothing but be in that reaction, or shut it down and not feel it at all. It's really hard for me to find a way to be anywhere in between, which is the only, way to kind of do life, I think. So when something really upsetting, if I'm going through grief, I haven't figured out, and I cannot think of a single time in my life that I have had a big loss that I've grieved in a way that I could look back on and be like, I'm glad I did it that way. Like I feel like I really like handled that well. And um yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think I'm working on it, and like the fact that I can even say that out loud, and that I can know that I'm working on it, that I have a, I have a wonderful therapist that I work with, that I have wonderful friends that I talk to, is something that makes me know that I'm just going to keep getting better. Um but hard things are freaking hard, man. Hard things are hard, and especially the ones that we don't have any control over. Like there's some things like I can handle. If some terrible thing happened right now, there's a lot of likelihood that I would have tools to like do something about it. Like I could make a call. I could physically help someone. But when things are out of my control, and there's no action I could take that could fix this scary thing that is happening or coming, um, yeah, it's really hard for me. So I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer than that, or step by step.
Well, Liz, I don't know if you ever heard, but we're only human.
I have heard that before. Yeah, I have. I know. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's like step one is remember that. Step one actually probably is react, because you are human. Step two, remember that you're human. And step
Mm.
three is remember that you're not alone.
Liz is better than me because I ain't giving you no steps because everything, everything is everything. There's so many things. Like it's hard to give you a step. But what I will say, the commonality in everything for me is like have compassion for yourself, like
Yeah.
have grace for yourself. Even hearing you talk, Liz, about how you've shown up and how you look back, and it's like I can't look back and say, but it's just like you did exactly what you would have done.
Couldn't have been any other way, because it
you
wasn't.
know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So and you fuck with Liz, I know you do. So with that being said, like you did good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, what we're in the deep end, so let me see
I
if
know.
I can find another deep end question.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. In conclusion, Michelle, I don't know.
Let's see. Mary P. Prescott asks, what was the turning point that made you decide to seek recovery?
Oh, what a great question, Mary. Do I go first on this one?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. Um, the turning point to seek recovery. I feel like there were lots that I could look back at for. I mean, I remember many years before I actually took any action to seek recovery, Googling, doing the whole like, am I an alcoholic? Like doing all the Googling, looking up, meetings, things like that. And then being like, psh, never mind, I'm fine. And so that there was definitely an inkling for a real long time. Um, and then there were times, whether they were just like, quote unquote rock bottoms, like consequences that came up, whether it was, really really hurting somebody that I loved, like not showing up for something I needed to, showing up in a really not great way. Um, those are the times that I knew that I needed to find recovery, and that I was nothing good was going to come of not, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to get sober. Like I didn't want to stop drinking. I was like, I can't do this life without alcohol. And then there came a day that was okay with me, that it was just like, I don't want to do that life anymore anyways, so giving this thing up will absolutely end this life that I think I can't do otherwise. And thank God, because the life on the other side of it is so much better. And that was for me on the yoga mat, were the times that I was like, oh, like I might actually want this. Those were the inklings. And then it was when I started going to Phoenix CrossFit classes in Tampa, Florida, that I was like, holy crap, these people are happy. I think I want to do this. And that was when I was that's when I was doing it for me. That's when I was choosing to find recovery. And that's when things changed. The end.
Such a clean cut and dry.
It was easy peasy every step of the way.
Storybook answer.
I mean, it was, it's a lot more detailed than thick of it. We've got those episodes, but for our mini up.
For the mini up at this point at a 32-minute runtime.
Sorry.
Turning point. I don't know if I had one. I think, you'll hear a lot of like, so my recovery pathway, one of them is 12-step. And within the program, we got these things called open talks, where somebody will come in and share their story of experience, strength, and hope. And there's a lot of commonality between all of the open talks that I've heard and all of them that I've given, where you'll hear certain parts of the story and it's like, okay, so this is the moment. Like this is the moment that he gets it together. This is the moment that she like realizes that it's time to turn over a new leaf. And then it's like, and then I went to the bar and it's like,
yeah, a lot of those.
like you literally just burnt the house down, threw the cat out, like, and you had this epiphany. And then I walked around the corner to the bar. I was like, sheesh. And I remember having that experience with cigarettes. I had smoked since I was 15, and a year of sobriety. And I got sober in 2013. So 2014 in December, I'm like, I'm about to quit. And so I crumbled the pack of cigarettes I had up and went to work. And I'm like, this is the last one I'm gonna smoke. And I smoked it, and I'm like, yeah. And got out of work. I used to work the night shift, so it's like 3:00 in the morning. I pulled up to the CVS. For some reason, the pharmacist was still there, and so I'm talking to this pharmacist at 3:30 in the morning about like this Nicorette gum and like what should I use, and we talking for about like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour about all of it. And I grabbed the dosage of Nicorette gum that I needed, and then I left. I pulled out the CVS, pulled into the gas station, went inside, said, "Let me get a box of Hunnits, Newports." And it was just like so natural. And yep. I went home and smoked about 3 out of that pack, and then crunched that pack up too. Mm-hmm. And when I crunched that pack up, like I did it in a way that there was one cigarette, just like 2 cigarettes that didn't get crunched. Put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the basement. Like I'm like, the only
if you were going to not know they were
there. And made it about a week and a half. No cigarettes. Then it's like the gum was stupid. Like the gum is dumb. Like I'm wanting the gum now, so I stopped the gum. And then about a week and a half in, I went to the basement and got that Ziploc bag and crunched those cigarettes because it's like they got to go because I know they exist. And then that is where my journey began. But it's like it wasn't a linear process. Like it wasn't linear. Same with like I had multiple moments of clarity. Like, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't seem to be in alignment with my upbringing or what my spirit has told me that I want to be. But I kept doing it, and kept, I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was a turning point, but I think the newness of that last little bit where like, okay, I don't got none, and like I'm super desperate, and like I had a breaking case of emergency glass of like, my drug of choice in a little shot glass. And I did that just so I could go talk to this therapist and ask her about like what I needed. And, she suggests, do I want to go somewhere? Like whatever you got. And then I did that. And then like the experience that I had in there, being sober really like for the first time since I was 12, like that was kind of a turning point. Like, oh, I can actually do this. You know what I'm saying? But beforehand, it's like the struggle and like leaning on who, how like I'm gonna go to the gym, then I get up, don't go to the gym, and then so now like I know that when I say I'm gonna go to the gym, like I'm bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go to the gym, and so but I know when I say it, like it's no like foundation underneath those words, because I know I'm gonna wake up and be like, oh, it's too early, you know. And so there was a lot of that. We're like, yeah, I'm gonna stop tomorrow. I'm gonna, tomorrow. And it got to a point to where it's like you say that, but there's no stopping for you, you know. And then that stint in rehab, being sober and having gone through withdrawal, and like it was like, oh, I could really do this, and this is really a way of life. And I almost immediately like latched on to, not the trigger lifestyle, like stay away from triggers and all that, but like, oh, I need to replace what I was doing with something else. And I almost immediately found like, okay, well there has to be a way of living, because that's what the people who have been able to maintain it have. And so I took that and ran with it. But yeah, not necessarily a turning point, but definitely like, oh, I could do it.
Yeah. I think that's a good, like, I wish I had heard that when I was doing a lot of starting and stopping, similar to relapse, where it's like, I know now, being in this community, that is just such a huge part of it for so many of us. And there's like, I believe deeply in my heart, there's no right way to do any of this. But then I was sure I was doing it wrong and it was all my fault and I was a terrible person and I was a failure every single time. And that only made it worse and harder, So I think like community is just such a big, it's just like powerful beyond powerful, because you get to see that like, no, it's okay that happened. You just start again. It doesn't have to be like, this is the point and now there's no going back. And if you screw it up, you've screwed it up. There you go. You lost your turning point. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not the case. There's endless, it's never too late. It's never too many tries. You do it, and it's freaking hard, man.
Yeah, rough, but worth it. Rough, but worth it. Okay, so, and speaking of community, I think to round everything out, our final question comes from Megan May.
Hi, Megan.
What can I do to help give back? My recovery is everything, and giving back helps keep it alive.
What a nice question. Whose turn is it? Your turn.
I mean, who's counting? You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I kind of answered a bit in the chat, in the group. But yeah, like looking for where people need help. And there's never a lack of people that need help. What I would do, though, at least for me, what I've done is done the research on what I'm excited about or causes that I care about, whether it be child literacy, whether it be helping the impoverished, whether it be helping disenfranchised people, whether it be access to music, whether it be like there's just a whole bunch of different things that I found that I have a heart for. And then from there, finding out where the spaces are, where the people are that are doing the work to build equitable access to resources and figure out how I can contribute. There's so many places, so many organizations, and they all need help. Um, and if that sounds like a lot, and your 12 step, or I mean, this person, Megan, you're in the Phoenix app, so there's a ton of organizations within the Phoenix app that are doing some really really cool stuff, and they can't do it without your help. And so, just reaching out to an organization on the Phoenix app and saying, you know, how can I volunteer? How can I get involved? Or, reach out to the Phoenix. The Phoenix has a volunteer onboarding process that's super simple and allows for you to contribute in ways that maybe your support to an existing program, or maybe you get creative and create your own program that is closer to what it is that you have a heart for. Mm-hmm. But good on you for asking this question, because service is that thing that continues to maintain my recovery. Mm-hmm. If this was all about me, like I'd have been combusted by now, because I can never satiate my wants. That I always want more and more and more and more. And also, like, I'm very finite as one person. But when you add a community, anytime that I feel like I'm in here in my head and it's too much and it's heavy, add people to the mix. Mm-hmm. Add conversation with other people to the mix. Add service with other people to the mix. It gets me out of here and into service, and that gets me outside of like my what is it? Neurosis. It gets me out of that and gets me into my hands. And even if it's just like, and then I'll pass it over to Liz in a cipher. But today, it was funny. I went to the gym and got out of the gym. I get out of the gym and I made it a habit to, like, I try not to leave anything. And if I see something, even if I didn't do it, like, I try to leave it better than how I found it. So I saw this bag on the ground. And usually how my brain works is I see the litter that I'm contemplating picking up. And then, like, I look around for, like, where is there a trash at? And when I sink the bag, I didn't see a trash. So I'm like, okay, well, that's just not a bag I'm going to pick up this morning. And then I kept walking, and then I seen the trash to the left. It's like a quarter mile away. And then I kept walking. I'm like, look, I'm not doing that. I'm about to go to the curb. And then it's like, do it. I'm like, you get on my fucking nerves, man. I'm so sick of you. And so I turned around and I got, and he was, whoever this is, it's like my better self. It's like my higher self. He's like, if you're really about that life, if you're really who you say you are, you're going to pick up the bag and you're going to put it in the trash. It don't matter how far the trash is. This is who you say you want to be. So if you really want to be it, then you'll do it. I'm like, shut up. And so I go pick up the bag. And then as soon as I pick up the bag, I see there's a trash can right there, right around the corner from the bag. I'm like, oh. So I go over there, put the bag in the trash can. And then while I was walking back to the curb, I was like, I don't hate you. Don't take that personal. I really appreciate you. But like that, moments like that, like if I didn't have a podcast, I wouldn't even have said that out loud. That would have just been an experience that I had. But like moments like that also add to how I see myself when I look in the mirror. And it turns me into that person that I know that I am, regardless of how anybody thinks of me. And that is really a big addition to my recovery. And, I've been able to use that energy and put that into service for other people in ways that I don't necessarily scream about, but that I know, and it sustains me during those hard times that we were talking about earlier as well.
Yeah. I'm just picturing you walking that bag to the trash can. Like, I hate you. I don't hate you. I love you, man. Talk again later. Anyways, I would say yes to all those things. And let me think where I can contribute here is I mean, just to reiterate that, you know, if you're on the Phoenix app, there's a volunteer process that's really easy. And the cool thing about Phoenix is that there's lots of you can kind of choose your own adventure. So feel free to post again, or if you have more questions about that, we can get you that info. As far as just service though, you know, day to day, I think there's so much we can do just even like within our own communities. If you're looking, and when we don't have, you know, all the context of, you know, if you're looking to serve specifically in recovery or just like in general, but I would say just, you know, looking around and seeing what you can do, whether it's picking up a bag or supporting someone that you love, you know, just being nice to the person who's right in front of you is pretty awesome. I was listening to a podcast recently, and there were these women who have an organization called, I really hope I don't mess this up, I think it's called Baby to Baby. And they have this like rock star org that they collect like diapers and things for babies that they for people who need them, and then also like in disaster situations where they get them to the people that are struggling, because you know that's just one of the things that diapers are the things people need like the most, and it's the thing that is sometimes the least available. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because something they said really struck me, and that they said, you know, when there's a situation that you're seeing, whether it's a disaster, you know, like a natural disaster or something else, and you want to help, you know, so often we come in hot with like, this is what I can do. And we take up a lot of space. Whereas there are people on the ground that are telling you what is needed, who know best, you know, like in the situations of like where they're getting diapers into some place that has had some kind of crisis, like people all coming in all at once with their bags of old baby clothes or something is actually taking up a lot of like the roads that need to get to that place, or you know, it is now they have to sort through that or something. Whereas if you go to their website, they will tell you exactly what is needed. And this is just the organization I'm saying because I just happen to hear this podcast, but there's so many organizations, like especially like the small local ones, that they will tell you what they need. And you can believe them, you know, and that might be you showing up somewhere. It also might be donate if you can, you know, it might be share a post. And you know, there's like a million different ways that could play out. But and then there's this other scenario where like sometimes there's people like in your own life, and I'm just speaking from my own experience, where someone, you know, has an illness or has lost someone they love. And in that case, I don't want to ask them, you know, what do you need? Tell me what you need. Make me a list of what you need, because that's a lot to ask of a person who's going through something terrible. Those are the scenarios where it's like, can I pick up your kids from school? Like, here's a casserole that I made, you know, like I'm here if you want to talk, like offering those things that you know that you would need in those scenarios. So I'm probably saying things that you already know, but I think there's just so many things that we can do that are just at our fingertips that we don't even need to be creative if you don't want to. And I will sum it all up or finalize. This is not a summation, it's just a final statement. Taking care of you in your own recovery and like being okay yourself is like such a freaking gift to give to the world and the community and the people who love you, that you just being exactly who you are and like in the app and, you know, listening to this podcast, if you have gotten this far, and you know, just doing what you need to do to be okay today is service in itself. It's the greatest service, and we're just so glad you keep doing it because we need you here.
Yeah, I mean, with that, you could really just like cut it.
The
You know what I'm saying? We could really just press the end button for real. Because that's, I think, the best way to end the episode is ultimately you are in service by being who you are.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are looking at you, or you don't even know that you're a reference point for of what the world is. And so when you show up in compassion and in understanding for self, show up in reverence for your environment and for the communities that you're surrounded by, show up in embodiment of your fullest potential, you are being of service.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're listening to this episode, especially if you've gotten this far in this episode,
as
like
we wax poetic for
like,
not a mini episode, what has become not a mini episode.
everybody hop in the Phoenix in the Phoenix app and go to the Rise, Recover, Live space in there and tell Liz that there's no such thing as a mini episode. I don't know why she keeps trying to record mini episodes. Like, there's no such thing.
Sometimes it makes me more. That's the way I can show up to be like, it's just a mini episode.
Mm-hmm. 50,
Bryce
50.
comes in with the questions. Michelle coming in with the big questions. No, we're grateful for your questions, and I mean, what an honor to even have people that want to hear our answers to questions, because we're just talking from our own, very human experience, and we just, you all know, so much, so many things. So share what you know too. Thank you for being so kind and listening to us.
Yeah. Speaking of share what you know, make sure that you share this episode with people who you feel will benefit from it. Share the show with people that you feel could benefit from it. There's a lot of spaces that really need this energy, that resonate with this energy, that aren't aware of the show just because of the logistics of the fact that Liz and I combined have 4 hands. Yeah, 4 hands. And we can only do so much with 4 hands and 20 fingers, you know what I'm saying? So we need you to spread the awareness of this show because of the resources that are on the back of this show that people can access, and pop into the Phoenix app. Head to the Rise, Recover, Live podcast space in the Phoenix app. Come talk to us and let us know how your energy is. I don't have any specific questions for you. Just come in and say,
answer those questions, the ones we answered. I want to hear other people's answers. Like, I don't know anything. Just, we want to hear from you.
All right, well, yeah, that's a very non-specific call to action. But go answer. Hop in the podcast space. Go answer those questions, okay? And we'll see you on the next episode of the Rise, Recover, Live podcast.
Oh, love you.